So I'm going to have this conversation with y'all while I do my makeup because I am a very busy person. So let's talk about online dating. Online dating gets talked about a lot as if it were real dating. You'll see these sorts of comments online about, well, women prefer the top 10% of men. Well, that data was taken from a study of an online dating app. And a lot of the phenomenon that men describe, such as women strongly preferring tall men or very attractive men, or, things like this. These all come from the online dating market. I don't like that term, but that's what it is. It's a market, right? And people need to realize that it is literally a market. It really is. That's what it is. So in online dating, it's a lot like shopping at Amazon, okay? So when I want to buy a pair of shoes on Amazon, I go online and there are however many millions of pairs of shoes on Amazon. Endless options, right? So I think to myself, well, what do I want? Well, I think I want a pair of black high heels, closed-toed, 3-inch heel, moderate, patent leather finish. And so I have this exact perfect idea of what I want. And I can find that because there are millions of shoes on Amazon. So what I will do is narrow those parameters down over and over. There's all those little buttons down the side, and you just select like, what size heel you want and what color you want and what type of material you want. And eventually you get it narrowed down to just what I described. And even then, there's like 10,000 of them. So you can get just whatever the hell you want. You can be as picky as you want, okay? So you're not going to even click on anything that isn't the exact thing that you think you want. Now, that's a good thing, but here's the bad part. A lot of things look different in person than they do online. So you get that shoe home, and maybe it's not as nice looking as it was in the picture. Maybe it's not as comfortable as you thought it would be. Maybe it doesn't actually look good on you. There's a million things that could be wrong with that you couldn't tell when you were shopping online because you just had a picture in your mind and that's what you were searching for. So when you are online dating, it is like that. Women have so many options. They've got 1,000,001 options, and they have search parameters they can narrow, so they can say, I want exactly this age range. I want exactly this height. They can filter by financial status to some extent, depending on the app and what you put in your profiles. There's all of these things that they can filter out to get exactly what they think they want. And when they actually get to see that person in person, they may not look like their pictures. It may not be a good fit. There may be any number of things that were wrong because they didn't really know what they were getting. So this happens. This happens a lot. So this is why they say that it's hard to date online and that women only go after the top 10%. Well, obviously, I wouldn't order a cheap, crappy pair of shoes on Amazon, would I? Right? Why? I don't have to. So when you shop for a partner on the internet, it's no different than shopping on Amazon, right? You better bring your A game or be really good at fooling people, one or the other, and you meet both. Now, if you are dating in a real life situation, it's a little different. That's like going to the mall. When you go to the mall, you usually have an idea what you want, right? Like you're like, I need a new pair of shoes, so I'm gonna go to the mall, and I'm gonna look for a pair of, I'm gonna look for a pair of black high heels. So you go to the mall and you start walking around, you start looking around at the shoes, and there's not 10 million shoes at the mall, right? I mean, there's several hundred pairs of shoes, maybe a couple thousand. But still, it's not the same thing as you had access to on the internet. And so you walk in and out of the stores, and maybe there's only 500 pairs of black heels in the mall. Maybe there's only 200. And of those, maybe only 50 of them are in your size. So your options are much more limited. So you're much more limited in that regard, so you're going to be more likely to maybe make a concession and be like, well, I wanted a 3-inch heel, but this is a 4-inch heel, and everything else about it's really good. So you end up maybe looking at something that you wouldn't have. And sometimes you actually see something that you weren't even looking for. Like you're there looking for a black high heel, and you see a pair of jeans. And you're like, these are the most amazing jeans ever. I wasn't even looking for jeans, but I can't not buy these jeans. They're amazing. They're perfect for me. And it might be something that wouldn't even have looked that good on the internet, right? Like if you had seen a picture of these jeans, you would have maybe just thought they were kind of boring. Not bad, but just like they wouldn't have caught your mind. They wouldn't have caught your eye. But they looked good in person. And when you tried them on, oh my gosh, they fit so good. They're so awesome. And so all of this makes it so that you are more likely to pick something that you might not have originally picked. And it's the same thing for dating, guys. You know, you're going about your day, you're going to work, you're going to your hobbies, whatever, and you meet a guy, and, you know, maybe he's shorter than you normally like, maybe he's not quite as employed as you normally like. I'm not saying date unemployed people, but maybe he makes a little less money than was your first choice. You know, maybe he's got a little bit of a receding hairline, but seems like a good dude. He's fun, makes you laugh, right? You know, and all of a sudden you're like, you know, I wouldn't have picked this guy out of a catalog for myself, but he's not bad. And so you give him a chance. And this is how you end up, you know, finding a person who you didn't originally think would work well for you, but they do. And I will tell you, I'm a widow. When I met my late husband, we'll call him Peter. When I met Peter, I would never have picked Peter out of a book. Peter, first of all, he's very tall, and I'm short. I don't like tall guys. I like guys that are like 5'8", 5'9". Peter was 6'3", and he was a big guy. Not a fat guy, but a big guy. I'm not big on big guys. Like, you know, again, I'm small. I like guys that are more my own size. Big, brawny football player looking guy. Not my kind of thing. He was bald as a bowling ball. Also not my thing. Very pale. Like, people used to joke and ask if he was an albino, which was stupid, but they would say that. Frankly, I thought he was kind of an ugly guy. I really did. I thought he was ugly. But we actually met at work. We worked together. Not closely together, but worked at the same place. So we encountered each other. And we got to talking one day because we happened to be working in the same area. And I was like, oh my God, I have everything in common with this guy. This guy is absolutely awesome, you know? And all of a sudden it didn't really matter that he was kind of ugly or that he wasn't my type. Like, I just didn't care anymore. And we ended up going on a first date. And by the third date, we were inseparable. And the rest was history. Okay? So if you are having bad luck on the internet with dating, just remember that that's like shopping on Amazon. Okay? You have to check all the boxes to get people to click on you. And if you don't, they're not going to. So if you are not an absolutely stellar catch on paper, for whatever reason, don't try to date online. You're probably going to have bad results, okay? People, when they're shopping online for a partner, treat it like shopping for a pair of shoes, and they can be very shallow about it. I've done it. I actually have a boyfriend right now that I did meet on the internet, and, you know, even then, his profile was not impressive. It wasn't bad. There wasn't anything terrible. It was just a very boring profile, right? Like, it just didn't tell me much about him, and that would normally be something that I wouldn't be interested in. But he was pretty cute. I will say that. He's cute. But his profile was nice. No red flags, just boring. And he sent me a really good first message. Okay? So, and first messages are everything, guys. If you're on an app where you don't have to match, like, 'cause there's different kinds of dating apps, right? So, like, there are a lot of apps where it's like the swiping thing, like, and you both have to swipe on each other before you can message each other. I don't like those kind of apps because I really think they promote judging people based on their physical appearances, which I'm not a fan of. So I prefer apps that are more like you just post a profile and anyone can read that profile and they can message you. So that's what I was doing. And I had a picture of me in a Renaissance fair costume because I do that kind of thing. And he had messaged me, and his first message was, "Hi, I saw your profile. I noticed that you go to Renaissance fairs and your costume is really cool. How often do you get to go?" Okay, this is perfect because what it does is it tells us that we have a common interest, right? Because he wouldn't be commenting on it if he wasn't interested in it. It tells me that he can make an introduction that is not overly flirtatious or sexual in nature, which is not something I would want, right? That's a red flag for me. He also gave me a compliment that wasn't about my looks. Right? Like, it's a real red flag if the first thing out of a man's mouth is, "Hey, beautiful. Hey, pretty girl. Hey, no, I don't want to hear that. Okay. I don't need you to tell me I'm pretty. That doesn't impress me. Okay. It's just not a thing for me. I want to know that we have something in common. And so when he was like, hey, I see you go to the Renaissance Fair, I go too, tell me about your costume or whatever, it's like you're also, in addition to indicating an interest, you are opening a conversation because you're asking an open-ended question that I can respond to, okay? And you have to remember that women get so many matches. Like when I was on that particular app, I was probably getting 200 a day, several, maybe 1,000 a week. I mean, I was getting a lot, and I don't have time to even open all those messages. So I'm just looking through the subject lines, and anything that's like a one word or short first line, like, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. Just any of that automatically gets deleted because I have to narrow it down to a manageable number before I can even think about clicking on anyone. So I'm first going to narrow it down by that, and that's going to take out at least 50% of them. I'm going to go through, and if I see anything that references my appearance in that first line, boom, gone. Anything that's, hey baby, hey sweetie, that's overly familiar, it's overly flirty, gone. Right? So I'm only going to click on the messages that look like they might be intelligently written by somebody who is not shallow. So at that point, then I'm going to go through and read those messages, and if there's no red flags in those messages, I'm going to look at the profiles, make sure there's no compatibility issues, like, for example, I'm child-free by choice, so if your profile says you have kids, I'm not going to respond, right? All those different kinds of things. I'm also going to filter by location because I don't do distance. If you do not live close enough for us to meet for lunch, that's a no-go for me, okay? I want a full-time relationship. I didn't want someone I see, twice a month or once a month or every 3 months. I want a real everyday relationship where we hang out and are a part of each other's life. So I would filter by that. I personally, I'm not super picky about looks. Like, I have a preference and I know what I like, and you definitely get bonus points if you're cute. But as long as you are well kept and you don't have like a big nasty beard or your teeth aren't terrible or something like that, I'm not too picky about looks. I'm a little more picky about body type than I used to be because I had a overweight husband who died, and that made me a little sensitive about that. So I won't date a man who I think is too overweight. I am not an overweight person, and I don't want an overweight partner. I want somebody that will not have the additional health risks of being an overweight person. So I filter by that. Income means nothing to me. You have to have a job and pay your own bills. Beyond that, I am not looking to get married. I'm not looking to cohabitate. And even if I was, I wouldn't join finances. I don't do any of that. I actually already have a husband. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I have a platonic life partner, roommate situation. So marriage isn't even on the table for me. Cohabitation, maybe. Like, my husband wouldn't care if I moved a boyfriend in, but it'd be difficult with the logistics of my house. So anyway, I filter by all of those things, and I still would have a lot of matches to go through. So if you're not doing well on the internet, it's not your fault, okay? There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a bad form for someone like you to meet somebody. You need to step back and get out in real life, join a club, go do an activity you enjoy, take a class, go to the park, go places people go and meet people. And there's always this thing, oh, well, women don't want to be approached. You're right. We don't want to be approached by a stranger who flirts with us. Now, if we are both taking a pottery class and we're sitting next to each other using our little pottery wheel, and you're like, oh, hey, what are you making? Now you've approached me in an approachable, healthy, non-confrontational, non-threatening way, and now I'm open to talking to you and getting to know you. If we are both walking our dogs at the dog park and you pass me and you're like, oh, hey, that's such a cute dog. I used to have that kind of dog. And we stop, we talk, right? It's not that we don't want to be approached. We don't want to be approached by creepy people in a creepy way, okay? And a lot of people say, oh, well, you're okay being approached if it's a good-looking guy. Well, yeah. Why would I want to be approached by an ugly dude? I don't know why this is complicated. Obviously, people don't want to be approached by people they're not attracted to, okay? If you're looking at that person and you're thinking, there is no way I would ever do that. Yeah, no, I don't want to be approached by you. I don't know why men think that's a gotcha. It's not, okay? Obviously, being approached by a good-looking person is something we like more, right? So if a 400-pound woman with a beard was walking through the grocery store and she just randomly walked up and started talking to you, you'd probably be creeped out, right? But if a supermodel walked up and started talking to you, you'd probably be willing to talk to her. We're no different. I don't know why y'all think we're different. We're not, okay? We're very much the same on that. So I'm going a little long here, and I've got to go to work because, oh shit, I really got to go to work. Okay, be good, guys. Keep that in mind. Bye.